Okay, so now that we've got each of these chords kind of fashioned around some upper register common tones and you can start to hear them come to life, we're going to stylize each one of those with some different playing techniques. This video we're going to just focus on pick style type of approaches. Again, walking ourselves through each of the 3 different variations of chords we just did in the previous video. Let's start off again with a C, add 2, and we're going to get into this one with a pick style approach that's somewhat along the lines of what Dave Matthews does in his tune Crash. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about what's happening technically with the pick here, but I'll just kind of do that as we pass through the first 2 chords. This one and this one. And it's basically going to be like this. Okay, so you have 16th notes involved with this, and you got bass notes changing independently of the chord strums. I want to make sure that you don't get into picking these in a random way like this, because your pick hands are going to get all messed up. You want to approach, since it is derived from 16ths, 1 E and a 2 and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Maybe consider bouncing your pick like that first to make sure you iron out exactly where the pick strokes need to come. Okay, with that said, I'll just walk you through each of these chords derived from this grip with our D and G and the open G string on top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm sure you'll agree that the moment we start to kind of play these chords now in a certain type of pick style approach that is reminiscent of a certain player of yours that may be a favorite, it instantly brings it all to the next level and starts to sound more personal, more stylized, and not just a hunk of chords. This next figure, we're going to do the same thing, but employ a Neil Young style picking approach that you might recognize from what he uses in the Needle and the Damage Done. And we're going to kick this off with a C add 2 that we already kind of picked through. This time we're going to have the open top string with that D note fretted with the pinky on the second string all the way through. A couple of things you need to keep in mind here. There's a feel issue, a triplet feel, where everything's going to feel like this. Kind of that relaxed, bouncy feel that's actually derived from a triplet. If you think of this as a triplet, 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let. You want to pick on the outer portions of a triplet. Okay, and again, I'll take just the first 2 chords of this so you can get a sense of exactly what's involved technically with the this accompaniment approach, and then I'll just carry it through each of the 7 chords in this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the extra fancy thing we're doing there again, you might have noticed with the C add 2, is the hammer-on onto the 2nd fret of the 4th string. We're going to basically carry that motif through every other chord as they unfold. So I'll just start picking through here, and again, when we make it all the way back to the top, we'll move on to the next one. Also keep in mind that I'm constantly picking down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So it's still just a kind of an alternating strumming thing. You're just needing to pick these notes, alternating between the 2nd and 3rd strings, and then the 1st and 2nd strings with a bass note. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, for this last one, we're going to actually start this off with our C chord that has the G note fretted with the pinky on the 3rd fret of the top string. And again, we're going to keep these notes fretted throughout each of the changing chords. This is basically going to be a 1-measure arpeggio pattern where the rhythm is going to be slightly different for each chord depending on how many notes are in the chord. This one has 5 notes. We're basically going to play this rhythm. Which, if you break that down, it's a downstroke on the root of the chord. Then you rake your pick through with the downstroke all the way up to the 2nd string. Come back again with a downstroke on the 4th string, and then an upstroke on the top 2 strings, and then kind of alternate between the lower register tones like this. Okay, by the time you get to the D7 sus4 chord, we only have 4 notes in the chord. So of course the rhythm will be slightly different for the downward raked movement. So we're just kind of on the fly making a little bit of an adjustment to our picking approach, how many strings we're encompassing with one pick move, depending on how many notes are in the chord. Here we go. I'll put it all the way through each of the passing chords and we'll get rolling. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, when we come back for the next video, we're going to basically do the same thing with that same series of chords, this time just exploring different fingerstyle approaches. See you in a second.